right. Once again, just good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining the call. Today is December 22nd, 2025. Again, we are kind of almost halfway through our season at this point. It seems like the season has kind of rolled by pretty quickly. So we're going to be kind of having some open discussions about rules, show some video, gameplay, things like that. So again, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Also, again, feel free to invite anybody to the call. Any official in Illinois, this is open to everybody. So feel free to, invite as many people as you possibly can. So Gary won't be with us tonight. He will not be with us tonight. So definitely want to say, hey, Gary, we thinking about you. Hope all is well. Nothing's wrong with him. He just got some prior commitments. But Jeff and I will be facilitating the meeting tonight. So Jeff, go ahead and take it away.
Well, I mean, the main thing is I'm gonna show some video tonight and during the main part of the meeting, but I just wanted to first of all welcome everybody, first of all, and are there any kind of questions, comments, or things that have happened that you've seen you may want to discuss or ask about or maybe get some clarity on? I want to start there because the plays that I'm going to show are going to kind of spark some discussion, but I don't want to start without kind of seeing if everybody's kind of there's some things maybe you guys are trying to do or some things that have happened that might need to be discussed that you think is good for the group.
And they can be, just so you know, the questions can be rules related, on the court, off the court, camps, clinics, promotion. How do I do this, not do that? It could be anything in that area. So don't think it just has to be,
Right.
on the court stuff.
Now some things can be personal, but that might be a deeper discussion. But if there's anything right now for the good of the group or something that may have happened that you may be struggling with, or something you witnessed that you might be kind of figuring out, and I don't care what level either, because if you watch something that happens in a college game, you can apply it to your game. If you see something that happens in a high school game in another state, it could apply to your game in our state. So feel free to discuss anything or to ask about anything that might be making you guys wonder. And that's kind of why we do this, especially. And I know we're close to the holidays, so we got the tournaments are starting, um, and kind of get going. So ask us anything that you think would be pertinent to the group or that you just need help with.
Well, and I apologize, but I forgot to add Tracy Carruthers. He's on here as well. So got experience, a lot of experience on here. So again, ask any question that you may have so that we can try to answer it for you.
Yes, this is Excel. Hello, everyone. I would like clarity on the taunting, like, when guys hit a three and they're putting up their fingers, or I know about the gun signal. What about the other one they just putting their three fingers? Is that considered taunting or not?
As long as they're not doing it at anything is not done towards an opponent, typically, and again, long as it's respectful and sportsmanlike, then it's typically okay. If you deem it to be unsportsmanlike or something that's done, kind of like they do like this, and sometimes they'll do this, they'll take their fingers and then instead of pointing it in the air like a three, they'll point it towards the player that they shot it against. Now, if they direct it at an opponent, then obviously you want to address that, with a technical foul. Some people may give a warning depending on the situation, but a technical foul is actually the rule that they want us to enforce. But that's kind of how you want to play it by ear again, because every situation is slightly different. But if you see it's an intentional act, yes, then you address it as a technical foul.
But make sure it is towards an opponent first. That's your first line of defense. And then is the action appropriate? So the gun it doesn't matter if it's directed at a player or a fan or whatever. They really are not supposed to do that at all. That is a technical foul. But obviously if anything directed towards an opponent. Now, let me also say this. If it's borderline, meaning you're not 100% sure what they said to a player or whatever, you still can address it. That doesn't mean it's automatically a technical foul. It might be a technical foul. It's more there's more video. There should be a technical foul, but there are situations where it just might not be clear. Are they doing it to the player? Are they doing it to the coach? Are they doing it to the bench? You turn to their bench. That's pretty obvious. But if you turn and let's say they're kind of doing it in an area, which I saw, I think last week, and he was doing it to his student section on a visiting team up above, that's acceptable. But just make sure that you're deliberate. And then again, if you're not sure, go to the player, go to the coach, address it and say something about, hey, I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know what you said, but hey, I'm be very careful doing that to the opponent. And sometimes that puts them on notice, and then you can take care of it that way.
That's a great question.
Very good question.
So,
Can I say?
Anybody else have a question about anything?
yeah, Coop, I do.
Go ahead, Mike.
So they make the three. They're not, but they're going up back to their defensive end of the floor, up and down, and their hands are all over. They're not directing it at the opponent. They're not directing it at the opponent's bench, but that's okay, or should that be addressed? I mean, maybe not with a technical, but a warning or something, or.
But remember, the rule says that we can always issue a warning if we deem it to be a warning type situation, be it for verbal, nonverbal actions, behavior, things like that. And that's why I say it's kind of like a case by case basis. So that's where you got to kind of use your
For
own
sure, for sure.
If you think that it's something that's possibly borderline, typically for me, if it's something that's kind of borderline, I might try to address the player and or coach in that situation. But again, everybody's interpretation and tolerance level is going to be slightly different depending on the action that's being displayed. But again, you have to kind of use your judgment on that.
Okay.
And I had a player who I believe at the end of a play said something to a player. I could not hear what he said to the player. So I just went to that player and said, look, I don't know what you said, but you're right in front of me, and I just see you gesturing to him. Be very careful with that. And he was kind of even argumentative about it a little bit. And I had to go back to him. I said, listen, then I just won't. I said, next time I'll just give you a technical foul. We'll just solve the problem. I was trying to help you out because I'm trying to do the best because I didn't quite hear what you said. But if I do feel you're saying something to the opponent, I can address that. And again, maybe Clarence, you've got time. Maybe we could pull up that list. That maybe not right now or whenever you get to it. That list that the IHSA put out of things that they said were illegal, and even on some of them, they said that it depended on who they did it to. Like the gun thing was a no-go period. It doesn't matter you doing it to somebody. And actually, I'm gonna try to look for the video probably before the night's over. There was something that I saw a video of where a kid actually did a gun movement, like kind of like to the back of the head of the player and the player wasn't looking. And I don't know if he was ejected, but that would cause an ejection if I saw that. And I think a lot of officials would see that because it was like he was almost doing an execution style like signal. They're pushing the limits, and until we decide that those limits are too much, they're going to continue to do some of that stuff. So we have to be aware that that stuff is unacceptable and not allow it to happen. But again, address it if you're not sure. And I mean, again, there are times when you're not sure. You're far away, you don't see something, and something takes place. it happens at every level. I could even show a play. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that. So head tapping, look what it's saying. It's saying if a player ducks on a player, head taps while looking at the player, the opposing team's bench or opposing of student section, this is a technical foul. So they're making it clear. It's to the player that you're doing it, that you did it against, to their opponent. So if the player ducks or the player taps ahead while running down the court, looking away from everyone, this is not a technical foul. So there's some judgment there that you got to decide if they're looking, because they could be going up the court and there could be players that they're seeing. So you just got to decide, are they really doing that to the opponent? And again, guys, you run the game. Tell them, hey, be careful with that. I tell them all the time, like, be careful with that, because then when I give a technical foul, there's no question. Like, I've told you that's unacceptable. And don't let coaches and fans and administrators tell you, well, that's not what you're supposed to do. Well, they're telling us that this is happening in these situations. The bow and arrow. Instead of a player makes any play or gesture towards a bow and arrow, this is a technical foul. If the player is facing the opponent, if the opponent's bench or the opponent's student section, it is permissible if you 3-point try to make the gesture while not directing at anyone. So again, these are somewhat gray areas, because it could be there, you're a visiting player and you're doing it to the crowd. You technically might be doing it to the whole crowd, but use common sense where it applies if they're doing it directly to the opponent or the other stuff. Blowing kisses. There's all kinds of things, and I say it this way: is a lot of times it's like what the Supreme Court used to say about porn. If you see it, you kind of know it, and just have the courage to take advantage and do what you need to do. Jim Miller, go ahead.
I actually had an experience where the student section did the gun shots with a gun gesture, and I had very good administrative action done, where they escorted them out immediately when I had addressed it. So that was my experience with that.
Well, did you say address it? Did they get rid of the entire squad or
They
the
got rid
area?
of the 4 individuals who were doing it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Yep.
That means you had some great game management that was paying attention and willing to support the officiating crew.
Right.
Well, I was running and then I saw them do it. I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped the game and I addressed it to the player. I actually addressed it to the student section, and I actually just told them, you guys cannot be doing that. But administrator, they immediately escorted them out. They didn't they wasn't having it.
And remember this, you have to remember a lot of these kids, the kids are gonna be kids. We get that, but a lot of the things they do for giggles and jokes and things. So to them, they think a lot of that stuff is just something fun to do or something funny to try to get a reaction out of their peers. Sometimes it's not even necessarily done to be like taunting towards anybody specifically. But to them, they think that, we're just playing or we're just having fun or, whatever. Players do it, the fans do it. I mean, it happens. But at the end of the day, we just have to take it seriously because, again, if you've ever been in a situation in a game where, one little, hard foul turned into something really big, eventually, you understand how these things can escalate very quickly. So to make sure that we respect each other, make sure that the players are respecting each other, the officials, the coaches, the fans, and everybody involved. If you again use your judgment, based you see what's on the screen, talking about unsporting acts, taunting and baiting from the IHSA. Again, this was all part of the rules video. I just took screenshots of it. But this is what the IHSA wants us to address. Again, use your judgment. You have to kind of use your judgment. I'll say this is kind of like when we talk about having a late whistle. It's better to have a late whistle than an early whistle. Same concept with this. Kind of observe and see, what is the action? Who is it going towards? Or how is it possibly affecting the flow of the game or what have you? And if you think you need to address it, But just because you think you see something right away, you may not always have to address it in that immediate moment. Sometimes you may have to wait a few seconds or a few minutes and just kind of play it by ear just to see, okay, where is this going? You know, did they direct this at a player or, you know, I mean, because let's be honest, if you're in a gym, there's a lot of people in the gym. You don't necessarily know, you know, who's with who, unless they're just in a different color uniform other than the home team. So it's, you know, that's to say you gotta kind of use your own judgment.
And
But
that was my case. I didn't know who was with who, but
yeah,
I immediately wanted to just stop the gesture, period. I
absolutely.
wasn't trying to escort them out. I just wanted them not to do it. But
Right.
administrative was so in tune with the coaches, everyone was so in tune with each other. They did an awesome job in like delegating everything and just immediately saying, no, we're not going to have it. Even the coach of the opposing team who the fans were for, he was like, I'm glad you caught that. I'm going to make sure I'm going to talk to them and all that. So it was
Absolutely.
like everyone was working together, and that was a great thing.
Absolutely.
And I know we're not going to always get that.
Right. And that's the most important part is that because here's the thing you got to remember too. Uh, the IHSA shares these rules videos for every sport, not just basketball, but this is something that's in every video for every sport about the taunting behavior and things like that, unsportsmanlike conduct. Because again, as we know, this is a very popular thing, unfortunately, that's going on across the country. So you know, administrators see this video, coaches see these videos, officials see these videos, so they're taking this very seriously because there have been altercations that you know have happened because people fail to take this very seriously.
Right.
You know, it's good that the administration was you know there to support you. And let's think about it this way: that particular administrator, whoever that was that you know got rid of those students, that sent a message to everybody in that gym. Hey, we're not tolerating this. You know, which is what the IHSA is expecting, which is what we're expecting as officials. You know, so it's good that that they sent that message. Again, unfortunately, every gym may not have, you know, a strong security team that's there to address those issues or, you know, the administrator there to address those issues. But again, you have a right to report that through the IHSA special report form. So make sure that you document that too if it's something like that happens, because again, that can fall into hate speech, that can fall up under, you know, unsporting behavior, taunting, baiting, whatever those categories you may feel it falls under. You can write a special report on behalf of that particular game and you know address it to the best you know to the best of your ability as far as who do you think that was, where did it happen, who were the two teams playing, you know what time did it happen, you know was there a cause and effect because of that, because again sometimes we may not understand some of these things. We might think, oh, the game was fine, you know, yeah, we addressed this in the game but nothing happened. But sometimes in some schools things may happen after the school, you know, after the game is over, when we're in the locker room or things like that. So you just never know how these things can snowball into something bigger. So it's best to address it if at all possible, because again, we want to send that message throughout Illinois. Hey, we're not tolerating this. We don't want the administrators to tolerate it. We don't want coaches, players, fans. We don't want anybody tolerating this negative behavior. So that's really what the IHSA wants us to do.
Let me ask this. Can you all see my screen?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was sharing. Stop.
You can see the basketball court?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. This happened about a week ago.
I don't see your screen for some reason.
What's that?
I said for some reason I don't see your screen. Okay, now I see it.
Okay, hold on. Do
It was showing it and it just went away.
Sure.
While you're doing that, and Roger has put something in the chat. I want to address that too after you show your video, Jeff.
Okay, well let me just show this because it's about the taunting. This happened. Now look at the time of the score. It's about less than 2 minutes to go in this game, and this is a big game. And if you notice, the kid who scores the basket immediately gets in the face of his opponent who he scores on. 23 sets up to 20. As a matter of fact, you even see two officials basically stop this and say, no, we're not doing this. And the thing is, what you got to understand is we had kind of warned them too in this situation. This has been not the first time. It was a couple times I said, hey, I'm not sure what you're doing, but you need to get out his face during a play. And I heard him say, like, yeah, or whatever he did in his face. And two officials, we decided this was a technical foul. And this is like a minute to go in the game. It's like might be like a 7-point game when this basket was scored. So the point is this is not popular. This is not a popular call, especially in some situation. You got to have the courage to deal with it, because here's and I'll say just in this play, my gauge is what would I do if that kid reacted to him? And what I mean by reacted to him is if he throws a punch, if he pushes him, then what? Am I not penalizing the kid who got in the face first, or am I penalizing the kid that just reacted? So if I feel that that kid would have reacted, I have to do something to both players, then that's probably too far for me. And that's just what it is. And we both had the call, lead and the new trail, the center, and see. And this is why this is it takes some courage, because the coach wants to kind of argue this a little bit, like wants to have a whole discussion about why the situation is what it is. And then you see the assistant saying something, and then they have to address the assistant. And so it causes other issues when we don't address it. And I'll be honest, we probably should have addressed this earlier in the contest, but not all situations are obvious. So we have to take our time and just think about it. And again, 2 officials saw this, and the 3rd official saw it too. He just was so far away, he wasn't gonna be calling it. But this is the type of thing we got to stop, because I've seen where that little action, a punch is thrown or attempted, or we go down to the other end and okay, whatever you want to say, I'm gonna go down the other end. I'm gonna make sure you hear about it too, and then it escalates, and then we really have a situation. So we got to address these situations when they happen. They're not always fun, and again, close game to some extent. Some people would say, well, why are you let the players decide the game? Well, he's deciding the game. He's deciding that he wants to be a knucklehead when we'd already told them to knock it off. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. We told them earlier, will you guys stop doing this? Or because I'm not hearing you, because it's a loud gym. I can't hear you.
So Jeff, when you said you told them earlier, but previously you said we should have did it. We should have not said it a little bit earlier. You mean, because this is what I'm taking from it, because I feel we should do a little preventative officiating, because I know we don't want to have the coaches and captain meetings that long. We want to get it done. But I think that's the time where we can address the issues like this, saying we're going to call it. You can't be in someone's face. You might think it's minimum to you, but we're not going to accept this. I think that's times where we can do some preventative officiating. But when you said you guys warned them first, but then at first you said you did not at the beginning. What
I mean is when we kind of said something, because there were some borderline actions that were taking place. And in those borderline actions, I wanted to make sure that what I was seeing is what maybe was registered, but such a loud gym, you're not always sure. Is he saying it to a player? Is he saying it to the crowd? Is he saying it out of excitement? There's levels to this where they can be and the player just happens to be there, but he's not directing it at the player. So what I said was like, hey, I don't know if you were trying to get in his face, but please don't do that. But ref, but he said, see, stop right there. Stop right there. I said, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You do what you want to do, but when you do something that I deem unsporting, I'm going to address it. And we had said this. There was a couple situations where it was unclear. And as a matter of fact, there was even a situation almost after that where I wasn't sure about a kid, because he was kind of screaming, but he's kind of screaming right by a kid. So you just there's no black and white in this. You just have to decide. But if we are willing to address it more, it probably will stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say, look to address it more. I think it's better to do it a little bit more than to not, because like you just said, it can cause, it can become a snowball effect. And where it gets worse and worse and worse, and now the snowball turns into an avalanche. And
because like Jeff said, a lot of them might not. That I look at it a little different than a gunshot and all that. He was excited, but that's still a taunting act, because you're in someone's face. But they probably didn't take it that way. So yeah, so I get it. Yeah,
and we do have a culture where they think that because they're playing a sport, excitement, no matter
Right.
how you're
Right.
excited,
Yep.
is acceptable behavior. So one of the problems is they do it because they think it's acceptable behavior. And
Exactly.
until we address it and say, no, that's not acceptable behavior,
Mhm.
then we can't do those things.
Right. And I know one time I had a game situation where, the player A1 made a basket and it was going down court, kind of like the video he just showed. And now B1 actually initiated the taunting conversation. And so I stopped the game and literally, because by the time I saw him taunting, he was like at the free throw line going back to the other end of the court. And by the time I got to him, I think they were like between the top of the key and half court. And I walked over to both of them. I told both of them to come here because now doing that, telling both players to come here and have a conversation with both players. And I told them, I said, hey guys, listen, just like we talked in the pregame, sports is an extension of the classroom. And people fail to forget this. They forget this all the time. Sports is really an extension of the classroom. Would your behavior be conducive in the classroom, in front of your teacher, in front of your principal, in front of your parents? Would that be appropriate behavior? And when you say that, or sometimes like I even scare the kids sometimes, not scare them, but I even tell them, I said, you got college scouts sitting in the stands watching you acting fool. Does that look good? They looking like it's scouts here for real. Yeah, it's scouts here. I mean, not one scout in the building, but they think it is. You know.
You
But
lying them
again,
kids.
it works. You'd be surprised. Like I tell them, I said, and then I say, hey, everybody's recording. Do you know you can go viral in a matter of seconds? So even if you're thinking about trying to get a scholarship to go somewhere, you do something stupid like this, you think that college coach wants to pick you up? They look at me, no, ref, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. So sometimes you got to use little tricks to kind of get them to, kind of tone their behavior down. And with the players that might work. It might not work with the coaches, but with the players it'll definitely work. But I do remind them, I say, hey, your behavior is not conducive to what's going to happen in the classroom. You can't do that in the classroom. Don't do it here. Now they don't think about it that way, but just remember that was the whole purpose why sports was even invented, was to be an extension of the classroom, just from a physical activity perspective. So again, if you're not going to do that behavior in the classroom, don't do it here. And so I tell coaches that all the time. When they get, well, no, it's not okay for you to be cursing at kids. Technically, that's a taunting act. That's an unsportsmanlike act. We're supposed to give you technical fouls for that. And if that was the case, we wouldn't have coaches coaching teams anymore, because a lot of these coaches are cursing up a storm on the sideline. But my point is, we just have to use our best judgment, but find different tools. Talk to other people, find out what they've done to say, hey, how have you resolved situations like this to kind of de-escalate players or de-escalate coaches or things like that, because everybody has different tips. And again, you got to have a variety of tools in your toolkit, because everything doesn't work on everybody. So you have to keep that in mind as well. All right. Roger, you put in the chat, on the court, out of bounds is stepping on the inline sideline. When inbounding the ball, is it accurate that a player has to step over the inline or sideline and not just on it? Jeff, you want to chime in on that one? Or Tracy?
Yeah, the line is out of bounds, so I can be anywhere out of bounds to throw in the ball. Think about it this way: there's courts that have that, like that 6 foot line. There's no portion, of that line that is in bounds. So if I'm stepping on it, it's no different than I'm out of bounds anyway.
Absolutely.
But
And
that's
I
a
mean,
good question, because a lot of
and
kids, ask that question. What part of the
and
line is out of bounds? All of it. All of
right.
it.
Right.
And think about it the opposite way. Just think, if a player is inbounds and the ball is going out of bounds, they're trying to save the ball. If they jump in the air and save the ball, but they're over the line, they're not out of bounds if their feet were on the inbound side of the court before they went airborne. They can save the ball and
Right.
throw
It's
it back
not
inbound.
football.
So just think of it the opposite way. Just think of it the opposite way. You can be out of bounds and do the same thing, just that you have to make sure you inbound the ball. So you can step over the line, as
Right.
long as your foot doesn't touch the
Touch
line.
it. Yep.
As long as it doesn't touch the line. But that's a great question, though. Glenn asks, has the IHSA put anything out about game officials wearing the black windbreaker warm-up pants instead of black regular male pants for games? Also, is this the legal for the IHSA state playoffs in February and March? I haven't seen any official documentation, Glenn, but I have heard from the powers that be at the IHSA that they did not want to see, uh, the Lululemons or the windbreaker pants or whatever you want to call them. They want the traditional, black slacks is what they were looking for. But again, in writing, have I seen it? No.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I was just wondering though, Clarence, because I seen that was a big discussion we had the other day over at Hillcrest and all, and you can hear guys saying that it's okay, but my question is, IHSA hadn't put anything out, probably not legal.
well, IHSA hasn't said anything, but it depends on the assigners because I know in other conferences other than CPL or CPS, they don't mind.
Yeah.
And I heard it from their mouth.
But I know a lot of assigners who don't like them. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yep.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say this. I would never wear them. I don't know why guys do it. Honestly, because first of all, and I'm gonna say this. I can't like they don't look good on everybody either because
Yeah,
if
that's true too, Jeff.
you got more hips and more back and more legs, they look really obvious. And this is kind of one of these things that is coming up as a across the officiating group as a whole because and I mean at every level. I'm talking about, maybe not the NBA because the NBA can tell them exactly what they're not going to wear and
Absolutely.
and hold them to that very quickly with, okay, you're not going to work or you're not going to have any more games or whatever the case may be. At the college level, this is kind of mixed opinions, but there's a lot of assigners who don't like them, and I've heard even coaches. I've known some officials just completely stop wearing them because a coach said something to them about it.
Yep.
And I mean like in a negative way. Like why are you wearing these jogging pants out here? This, that, the other. And I had a Division One official I worked with at an NAI game told another official like throw them damn things in the garbage.
Yep.
So it and again, some people try to push the limits on what we do. But I think you can never go wrong with what I mean. If they don't sell them in purchase officials, honings, all the referee
Exactly.
stores, that probably is a good sign that maybe it's not acceptable by everybody, and you want to be careful.
Well, and I'll say this too. Always remember, every game you work is a job interview.
I mean, I
and
get
what
what
let me
you.
just let me just say it this way. Let me say it this way. I'm saying from perspective of it's a job interview from a perspective of either you're trying to get hired or you're trying to remain hired. Okay, so either from that perspective, but again, it's a preference thing. Some people wear them. Like I know some officials that wear them just during the summertime or spring, something like that. Okay, fine. They don't wear them during the season. Some wear them during the season. Some don't. It's kind of a preference thing based on what your assigners are looking for or what they will allow.
Yeah.
And remember, assigners are working on behalf of the schools. So if the schools are not interested in seeing officials in those types of clothing, then don't wear it. If they don't care, then you probably can't wear it. I mean, again, it varies from conference to conference and assigner to assigner and things like that. So I would say just check with your assigners on that to see what they say. But it's up to you. I'm to my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, I think for state tournament games, they're not expecting that.
And
And
I'll say this, I've never had to worry about it because I wear the prescribed pants. And now problem is that if I go into a gym where somebody I don't know is wearing them, then or they have them, no one's gonna say anything to me about them because I'm gonna be in the proper uniform. I just think they look better, they look more professional, and until they tell us that we can wear them or wear some version. And here's the other thing: is like people don't just wear the ones that everybody got, the Lululemons. They wear these other sweatpants and other stuff that looks even worse. I mean, at least the Lululemon's kind of you can hide it a little bit. The other ones sometimes look very obvious you're wearing sweatpants, and I can tell you that is very frowned upon by a lot of people because it
and,
doesn't look professional.
and
And
that was
and
going
just
to be my point.
go ahead.
A lot of people don't wear the ones that make their body look professional, and I actually wear them. And I feel so much comfortable wearing them because I have hips, I have butt, I have that. Wearing those referee pants is so uncomfortable for me. So when I finally found the Lululemons that fit me well, and they think they're the other officials pants, I feel great. I feel it gives me a little bit more confidence out there. That's how I feel with them.
And it's like I said, it varies from person to
Personal
person.
opinion.
It's not I won't say it's a right or wrong. It's like I said, it's really more about finding out what your signers approve of and what they don't approve of, or what the school districts, I should say, may approve of. Because I've seen people who wear them, and it may be one person on a 3-person crew, and the other 2 are wearing just the regular referee pants, and it looks
Exactly.
obvious,
Yep.
that person's wearing something different. It's like, so it just varies. So I would say just ask around and see what they say.
Okay, I just want to say that I was at that game where Jamila warned the student crowd, because I had officiated the sophomore game, and I was sitting down from the what they call that group, I just said it, I forgot
The
that quick,
student,
the
mhm.
student, yeah, the student section. And yeah, they were getting out of hand, and I'm just glad I stuck around. And if there's any new officials on board, this is why I listen to you guys when you say, "Hey, stick around, watch the first half," because you can learn a lot from watching the varsity officials work. And Jamila handled that really well, because soon as she addressed it, coaches came over and made those guys move to the other side. They was actually the away team.
Here.
Yeah, they were the away team, and they made them
And,
move over. That coach made them come over there by them, and it was complete silence after that.
and remember too, like it's like anything, it's also how you address things that's important.
Right.
It's not, obviously we're expected to address bad behavior and unsportsmanlike behavior, but it's also how you do it that's important. Because, I've seen officials who tried to address some bad behavior, then they tried to act worse than the behavior that was being displayed, and now you added more fuel to the fire, and that's not gonna work. Yeah, you might be addressing an issue of a fan or a player or a coach that's doing something unsportsmanlike or what have you. But if you're coming from a tone or a perspective of yelling and shouting and cursing, and then that's just gonna look bad on you as the official. So you do have to address it in a professional manner, which I'm sure Jamila did. She's always very professional when she's out there working. So that I can only imagine how smoothly things went. Again, considering that the administration was very supportive of her request. So with that, with that being said, that that's a great thing. It's a great thing. And I'm glad you were able to witness that, because again, it's everything is about a learning lesson. We're all continuously be learning, to how to perfect our craft. So
There was
great.
a state final not too long ago, a few years ago, where a racial slur was said that wasn't a typical racial slur, but the official took it that way. Stopped the game. This is on television. Stopped the game. Went to game management. Pointed out the individual who said it, and they removed him from the game without incident. So and he did it so professionally. I had to ask him later what happened. Like, what did he say? Because he obviously said something. Because when you're in the arena, you can tell that there's something was said, but then the way he addressed it. But he addressed it professionally, and it was very quick. And game management handled it. And that's the other thing too. Like, let game management. That's what our mandate is. Let game management do that. Don't you dare go up to a fan and you personally, nope, you're out of here. I've seen guys do that. Just no, 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 he's got to go. Go to the scores table. That guy over there has to go because
Yeah.
he said this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. And that's unacceptable. And that's
And,
really how you should address it.
and remember too, if you do have to remove a fan, uh, the game stops. The game must stop. You do not continue that game until that fan is removed. And now the attention is on that fan, and regardless if they were right or wrong or whatever, obviously you had them removed for a reason. Uh, but the game has to stop. That fan has to be removed, and you let the coaches know, or security administration know, hey, this fan needs to be removed. If it's not done in a reasonable amount of time, the game can actually be called. Because now it's about safety. It's about your safety. It's about safety of the players, the fans, the coaches. And we don't know. I mean, we hear the things that's happening in the news, so you never know what people's mindsets are. Nowadays, they might seem like the nicest person in the world was sitting there nice and smiling. Oh, yay, yay, team, yay. As soon as they get pissed off, they turn into the Incredible Hulk, and now they want to blow the whole world up. So you just never know, and we can't take it for granted. Be like, oh, well, Jeff looks really nice sitting there with his black shirt on. He doesn't look like he's gonna bother anybody. He wouldn't bother a fly. Yeah, but Jeff gets pissed off because you didn't call a foul on his son. Now he's just turned into a whole different person. Now, hey, ref, you the worst ref in the referee. Now they're making it personal. They're calling you out your name and da 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 da. So again, never take that stuff lightly. All right. Johnny, you have a question in the chat about how would you all adjudicate fans banging on bleachers to distract free throws? That's technically an artificial noisemaker. Tracy, you want to jump in on that one? Tracy, Carruthers?
I would use, having them do that sometime. I don't usually get into that because it's a thing that has been happening for a long time. If it ain't the band to me, it's just part of basketball.
No. Casella, leave it. Kenny, leave it there.
So what I try to do is, if the band is playing, but the rule says it's an artificial noisemaker, but are you telling everybody to be quiet? You can't tell nobody to walk down the stairs. You can't hear nobody walking downstairs. So I don't know. I don't usually get into that.
Well,
now,
and
if
I'll
the band
say
playing,
this,
I got a problem.
So
I'll say this, Tracy, that's not addressed as an artificial noisemaker either. That when they started addressing that rule about 20 some years ago, they were addressing like bull horns and the thunder sticks. I don't know if anybody remembers that, or any
like
kind of
at the Bulls games, they be
bells and
yeah.
stuff like that. That's what they consider artificial noisemaker. Just banging on something that's in the gym.
Yeah, I don't get into that.
Doesn't fit don't be that technical.
So with that being said, I'm glad Johnny, you brought that question up, because I know we get this question a lot, especially from younger officials. They always want to know, if team A is shooting a free throw, is it okay if team B, the players on the bench, make noise and all that kind of stuff? Is that legal? Is that okay? Is it illegal, unsportsmanlike, taunting, baiting, disconcertion? Like, what is that?
Are you asking in general?
Yeah.
Well, by rule, they are not supposed to be doing that. Not from the bench. Now, the debate I often hear is, are they considered part of the distraction rule, that is where if they missed a free throw, we would award another free throw. I have always been under the impression that that is outside of that rule, because they are bench personnel. They have a different role. They're not the players on the court. And I would not address it with a violation. I would address that with, first off, warn them to stop doing that. And then if they to continue to do that, you have tools, meaning technical files, that you can give to individuals. Now, I'm glad you brought this up, because this literally happened in a game about a week ago that I was in, where my partner heard something, and it was on the opposite end of the court. It was, I think so, it must have been the second half. So he heard somebody go, like right when the kid is shooting or something of that nature. And I think that he went over and addressed it to the coach, and that was how it was solved. And it wasn't like the coach wasn't argumentative about it. He wasn't. He just said, you just can't do that. And that was his remedy to solve it. And that was a veteran too. So when I was coming up, that's how you handle it. Matter of fact, I believe there was a case play that directly addressed that. I think they've taken that case play out, but there are some people that will argue that it's like a distraction, like if I'm waving my arms on the line, and it's the same thing. I don't think that's the same thing. I think that's a totally different behavior.
And for those, especially those that are new, to officiating. There's a big trend now where a lot of the players that are on the lane line, when the free throw shooter has the ball, they're saying, "Hey, I got shooter, I got shooter. Who do you got? Who got the shooter? Who got the shooter? I got shooter, I got shooter." They're literally saying this like out loud to be a distraction to the free throw shooter. Again, use your judgment, because technically they can't say that with the intent of trying to distract the free throw shooter. Anything that's considered disconcertion, that if you think that falls under that category, then you can address that. Coach, hey, this is your warning. They can't do that, or you let the players know if you can. But again, it practically every game you see it now. It's just become commonplace. I'm hoping that TJ and the NFHS Rules Committee can put something in writing to address that, because they'll literally won't say anything. We administer the free throw. Tell them, okay, guys, we got 2 shots. They don't say anything on the first shot. Second shot, as soon as the free throw shooter get the ball, I got shooter. Who got shooter? You got shooter? No, I got shooter. No, you got shooter. No, I got shooter. They'll do whatever. They say different things just to kind of distract the free throw shooter. But hopefully that can be something that can be addressed. Because again, if you see they don't do it on the first one, but they only do it on the second free throw, obviously that's an intentional act. So again, you have to use your judgment. Am I saying nitpick and go just address it every single time? Absolutely not. But if you feel it's something that could probably be a problem in the fourth quarter that they've been doing since the first quarter, you may want to address that.
And a lot of times what'll happen is they'll be very savvy about it. They won't say nothing until the shooter's right in their motion. So that's when you kind of let the antennas got to go up. Like, wait a minute. Like you had all this time to talk about the shooter. So I tell you this, I address that directly and immediately. And I just say, hey guys, when he has the ball, knock it off. And they go, well, wait a minute. Knock it off, because the only reason you're doing that is you're doing it when he's shooting. You could have talked about the shooter all that time. You want to huddle and do all that other stuff. You could have addressed that. You got to address it right when he has the ball, and the only time when he's about to do his routine. No, stop. And usually what that does, it gets their attention. And then if they argue with you, I love to tell them. I said, I'll show you better than I can tell you. So do that again, and guess what's going to happen? I'm going to give him another shot if he misses.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that shuts them up.
Yeah. And or the coach will tell them, be quiet.
Right. Let's just be quiet. I mean, because sometimes what they tell on themselves by the way they react. So when you address something with them, when you're trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, Mrs. Nice Guy, and they still want to be argumentative about the thing, then just do what you got to do. Okay, you don't believe me, then, same as contact. Hey, you don't believe me, that thing you're doing is a hold, and I've tried to pass on it because it'll reflect the play. Next time you do it, boom, foul, we're going that way. Then it'll be like, see, told you, you didn't listen.
Hey, and remember this saying, players play a whole lot better with 4 fouls. If they got 4, trust me, they gonna play matador defense. They not touching nobody.
But with that being said, I wanted to add to just be observant, because you don't want to assume that they're doing that just to distract the shooter, because a lot of times they may be doing substitutions on that second after the first shot. So then they got to let each other know who has the shooter. So you just got to be aware.
Right. That's fine. But the thing of it is like Jeff said, if they're saying something while the shooter is in their shooting motion is what we're saying.
No, but you had said when they only do it after the first shot. That's not true.
Well, no, I'm not always, but I'm saying, and that's why I say you got to kind of watch the habits, because every team is different, every player is different, so you have to use your own judgment. But like Jeff said, if you feel that it's something to try to disconcert the free throw shooter, then you just, like you said, just come, hey guys, don't say anything. The free throw shooter has the ball, don't say anything. You get plenty enough time to figure out who's going to box out the shooter, who's going to box out whoever, whatever you're going to say before the shooter gets the ball.
And also sometimes it'll be the guy that's standing right next to the shooter that decides that that's the one. It's not the guy that's on the other end that does it, or it's not the guy behind the shooter that's doing it, or if they do it, they're right next to the circle. There's little savvy things. We're just saying use some preventive officiating, talk to players. We should be able to tell players to knock stuff off. because I don't want, and you just put it in a way like, hey, I don't want to call that stuff, guys. You are going to put me in a situation where I'm going to call something, and now you really aren't going to like it. So what you're doing is you're raising their antenna to say, okay, he might just call that. He might just do something. And they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They know
Right.
exactly what they're doing. So just
So
address it.
my preventative, but how I handle it is I say, okay, guys, before I give this shooter the ball, you need to figure out who's going to box out the shooter or whatever you're going to say. Get it out before the shooter gets the ball. Because once the shooter gets the ball, I don't want to hear a word. Okay, ref, my fault. I won't say nothing, So now you got the attention. But again, address it early so you don't have to deal with it in the fourth quarter when it's a tie game and A1's on the free throw line. And now all of a sudden you call this out of nowhere. Everybody's like, oh, come on, ref. Like, we've been doing this the whole game. Now you decide to, enforce this rule. So again, just use preventative officiating and just use your judgment. I mean, again, you're right, Jamila. Sometimes they may have a sub come in, but watch this. When the sub comes in, they can figure out who's going to box out the shooter because once they find out where that sub is going to go on the court, they know who's going to box out the shooter, who's not boxing out the shooter. They don't have to wait till the shooter gets the ball, dribbles 15 times, then gets in their set motion, then they shoot. Now all of a sudden you want to say, "Oh, I got a shooter, I got a shooter." There's a difference. So again, they use these different tactics to try to throw us off so it gains an advantage for them. So again, you want to address that again. Pick and choose when you think it's appropriate or when it's not. Or if you are the trail, hey, coach, can you tell your players not to say anything when the shooter has the ball? Okay, okay. The coach will say, okay, guys, hey, figure that out before he gets the ball. Now you just ended this situation. So again, just use preventative officiating when you can.
Let me address something was talked about earlier, kind of to change the subject. Johnny made a comment about by rule, if you taunt causes a fight, the taunt is considered a fighting act. Yes, in principle, what it is called is the instigator. So if I do something that instigates the fight, and again, it doesn't have to be a taunt, it could just be it could be a push, and then I get punched. That is instigating. So yes, that is part of the rule, and always consider that when that happens, because usually someone doesn't just punch somebody or try to swing on somebody for no reason. There usually is a reason. Now, that doesn't mean every time that happens. I'm just saying, maybe have a discussion when we have a fight or we have something that takes place. Discuss what did the other player do that caused that. Like, don't, because it usually didn't start somewhere. Now, we can't go back 10 minutes and say, well, they did something and then 10 minutes later they hit them. But we can address that by rule. And yes, they don't have to throw a punch. If they instigated that fight, calling them a name, using a gesture, anything that is deemed inappropriate, unsporting, and that causes the reaction to be a fighting action, that instigator is the fighter too, by rule. So that's a good point, Johnny.
All right. Emmett, you put it in chat. Can you explain a fisted ball by the defense, why it's a violation, and what is the out of bounds spot for the violation in the front and back court?
Same as a kickball.
Yeah.
Just think kickball. And by the way, it doesn't matter if the offense or defense, it's illegal. And I think the logic behind that is because if I'm throwing a punch to try to hit the ball, what if I miss and I hit somebody? It can kind of be a dangerous act. So again, don't see it very often. I think I've called it once in my entire career, and I think there's a play. Look up, Steph Curry got called for this in the NBA like last year.
It was just on a college game. A guy lost his shoe, and the team was heading to the front court. And he grabbed his shoe real quick and he went back on defense. He used his shoe to block the shot. Yeah. And it was a technical foul. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that one before, but the fisting one is not very common. But I think the purpose of that rule is basically to prevent players from kind of throwing what looks like a punch and to hit the ball because they could miss the ball. Just to think about if I'm holding the ball and I use my fist and the slam, that's basically what we're talking about. But if the ball's loose and I do that and hit the ball, it's illegal. So
yeah, and just so you know, I put in the chat, study and know how to adjudicate Rule 10, fouls and penalties in the Federation rule book. That I think that's one of Rule 4 definitions, and Rule 10 I think are two of the most important chapters in the rule book that we need to know. In the fouls and penalties, you're talking about administrative technical fouls and flagrant fouls, and if it's a direct foul towards the coach, indirect, all those types of things. That's really important to know, because you need to know, and then you also need to know live ball, dead ball, because that's going to determine what type of adjudications that you're going to have. So knowing live ball, dead ball is very important as well, because there's certain things that happen in a live ball situation. There's certain things that happen in a dead ball situation. All right.
Very important.
Very important. Roger, you put in the chat, anybody using the whistle with the AP toggle switch to keep track of the possession on the court? If so, is it adding more value to your game instead of other methods, the coin in the pocket, sliding whistle lanyard, etc., in situations where the table is weak? No need to address it on camera, just looking for any personal experience with this equipment. I haven't used that particular whistle with the flip switch. I just keep an extra whistle in my pocket. Tracy, what do you do?
No, I don't use it. No,
Yeah,
I don't use that
anything either.
I don't use that. I don't use. I'm like Jeff. I look at the time I gave somebody the ball. So I gave White the ball at 155. Next ball is Black.
Yeah. So I use the old extra whistle in the pocket, and I flip it, between my left and right pocket. My left pocket is always home. Just like when you look at the scoreboard, most scoreboards, home is always on the left. Well, most scoreboards, not all, but most scoreboards, home is on the left, visitors on the right. Same thing when I put my extra whistle in my pocket. My left pocket is always going to be home. My right pocket is going to always be guest or visitor. So that's kind of how I can keep up with it, just as an extra backup. But I really try to keep it in memory. But I just use the whistle as a backup to remind myself, because sometimes you may have long periods in between, a held ball or the next quarter, so you may forget. So I just keep the whistle and use the left right pocket just to keep track of that.
Well, let me also say this, and this is not about the things in the pocket, but I don't care what game you are working. There is supposed to be a device at the table, not at the scoreboard, and I'm adamant about this because the possession on the scoreboard can be, first off, I got to figure out who's home and visitor, and if I'm doing a tournament like we've been doing or about to do, home and visitor could be confusing, and so I don't do home and visitor. No, I need something at the table, even if it's a pencil, a bottle, whatever. Do something that has something at the table. There's supposed to be a device. That's actually by rule. I'm not making that up. The device on the scoreboard. Actually, guys, if you're not aware, the scoreboard is literally not official. It has, the only thing that's official on the scoreboard is the time. Everything else, the fouls, the score, the timeouts, all that stuff is not official. The only thing that's official on the scoreboard is the time, and so the time is the only thing that we can go by. That's what it says, and that's what we need to correct it to. If the score is wrong or the score is off, yes, that can be an indicator that it's wrong. But what does that scorebook say? And what is the possession arrow? And as a matter of fact, they're supposed to keep the possession arrow in the scorebook. So just in case we have a mistake, just in case we have a mistake. So let's insist that they put something at the table, even in your freshman games, because usually they got that little turn device, but some people don't have that there. Just use a bottle, do something, but that's a better indicator than trying to figure out, well, is the home team or the white team? Wait a minute. Well, we got a commemorative night, so wait a minute. I don't know. Have some at the table and insist on it.
And make sure they're switching that too, because they forget that.
Right. And that, and again, I showed a play where it matters. So like last week, I think it was last week or maybe a couple weeks where we showed the AP arrow play that I had, but those are things that we can, and again, if you insist on these things happening, it will make your game go so much smoother. Because when they point to the table, I said, I don't know which is left or right, and sometimes they can't even tell me. So but I have a direct indicator if it's going to this side and that's the team in white, and it's going to that side and the team in white. And when we get to halftime, I always go to the table and ask, "Hey, did you change the arrow?" And if they say no, yeah, that's the way we're going. And I'd say out loud to myself, "Okay, white has the ball to come out, or if we did change the arrow or we didn't change the arrow, okay, make sure we change the arrow so that green has the ball." Just do all those are habits. Those are things I do all the time to just kind of keep your mind in the game, because I really think, because what if somebody malfunctions and doesn't switch the thing? Like Tracy said, if I know what 155 on the clock in the second quarter, we had a held ball and we gave it to white, then I know green is getting it next at that time. That's another way for you to do it. That's why I don't use these little devices and things of that nature. But that's just me. So
Yeah. I mean, everybody uses a different tactic, but whatever helps you to keep up with the, situation outside of the possession arrow. Because yes, every game is supposed to have a possession arrow. Some gyms you get to will not. Sometimes I've seen them use a little small orange cone for drill that they use for drills. They use it in whatever way that the cone is pointing. That's the possession arrow. So, I mean, it's just different tactics. But again, I just keep the extra whistle in my pocket because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that me and my partners are getting the possession arrow right.
I have a weird way of remember. I have to yell it out every time we switch. I don't know why. That's what I have to do. Yell out who has possession.
Yeah, everybody has their own little thing. And again, whatever works best for you, that's what you use. But at the end of the day, that's, the bottom line is we're still responsible for making sure we get the play right.
well,
Hey, Clarence, let's answer some of the stuff on the chat.
Go ahead.
Well, let's get to some plays after the last one.
A1 shoots the ball, and the ball gets stuck between the backboard and the rim. How do we determine who gets the ball?
That's a great question. Mr. Costello, can you answer that question?
Goes to the AP arrow. Whoever has the arrow gets it.
And what if, since we just talked about that, what if the AP arrow is not functioning properly? How do we adjudicate that?
Okay. So I'm like you, Clarence. I have the whistle in my left or my right, and so I'll know who gets it, and I'll say who gets it, white or blue or whatever.
Okay, but yeah, that's exactly how we determine it.
One more question.
The ball gets stuck. If it gets stuck, we go to you use the AP arrow to decide who gets next.
Let me have a follow-up question.
Then how you get the ball out?
Wait. What? Well, if you were young like me,
someone like me just jumps up and
I'm
gets
not doing that no more.
Hey, and let me say this though, in all seriousness, be careful with that. I've seen people hurt themselves trying to get that ball out the rim, thinking like, oh, I can jump up there and get it.
No, I use another ball, but that'd be the most nervous part of the game for me because they looking at me.
Don't.
I used to be able to jump up and do it. I don't
jump up there. Be careful.
I don't jump up there no more. I used to do that. I don't do it. Kids will do it if they, if there's a good, big kid. But if not, use something. Hell, what had happened a couple times in the NCAA tournament, the cheerleaders put somebody up and got the ball. So
that's a great idea. That's cool.
Yeah, so if you got male cheerleaders or girl cheerleaders that can lift the other one up and they can carefully do it, don't tell them to do that. Don't put yourself in that box. But,
right.
But if they can do it and they're willing to do it and they won't do it on their own, and let them do it. So,
next question is: in tournament games with the shot clock, are we still required to do a visual 10-second count from the backcourt to the front court? And the answer to that is yes.
And explain why.
The reason why, because IHSA wants you to do a shot, do the hand count. So regardless to what the shot clock says, because if something happens, that ball is going to go out of bounds and they're going to get a new 10-second count to get it over into the new front court. They do not care about that.
Nah, but Jeff, go ahead and say your piece.
I'm going to say this. Don't do that crap. And I'm going to tell you why. Because guys, you're gonna set yourself up for failure. And if you
Every
don't
time.
believe me, do it wrong one time, and then we're gonna have a coach that's gonna complain about something. Because your count better be accurate. It better be with the number.
Which it may
If
most
you
likely
call it-
won't be.
If you call a violation on a 35-second shot clock at 26, 27, 28, you're going, first off, they're going to be trying to ask you questions about why do you have a 10-second count and it's not 10 seconds ran off that clock.
Or
If you don't call a violation at 22 and you were supposed to call one at 25 because your count, because most officials' count is not accurate, guys. So I'm going to be real. You're going to have another problem on your hand about why are you having didn't have a 10-second count when it was 25. And what does the rule say? The rule says the shot clock and the game clock are supposed to start at the same exact time. So once there's a touch, it's supposed to start. So I'm not going to tell you not to do that. I'm just going to tell you, you better be good. You better be so good that nobody can question whether your count was accurate. And here's the other thing. If you go by the clock and your counts are not 10, that's another issue that they're going to bring to the table. We have video in almost every game now. And so if you don't call something in a certain way, they will go back to the video and say, you didn't follow this rule. So if you had 8 pumps when actually it was 10 seconds, but you called a 10-second violation, what are they going to say? He had 8, not 10. And they're going to say you were incompetent because of that. And if you don't think that ever comes into play, guys, have a situation like I had this past weekend where something didn't show up on film. So, and we had to piece stuff together because of what was said. That's all I'm saying.
So the easiest way to resolve the situation is this. You have your 10-second count, but make sure you're paying attention to the shot clock. Shot clock hit 25, 10 seconds. Hey, ref, what did you have? I had what was on the shot clock. That's the easiest way to get out of it.
Yep, that's exactly the easiest way to get out of it. Doing all we had that situation the other day though. Yep, can't go wrong with the shot clock though.
Yeah, so since the state wants us to count, you give a visible count. That's what they're asking for. Okay, fine.
Yeah, just make sure that shot clock person is not starting that shot clock quickly.
Yep.
That's important because, like Jeff said, the rule states that the shot clock and the game clock are supposed to start on the what? Anybody? On the what?
On the touch.
On the touch. Now, let's be honest. Will a game clock and shot clock always start on the touch? Both of them at the same time?
Negative.
Negative. So if somebody's paying attention to the game clock and the shot clock starts maybe a second or two later, and they're yelling 10 seconds, 10 seconds, they might be looking at the game clock and not the shot clock.
And I had to assist a partner doing that. I was to see he was the one.
Mm-hmm.
He was the old lead becoming a new trail doing his count, but he just he just drew a blank
and that's why it's important that the center and the lead, help the trail on that 10-second count if need be. Now, I'm not saying jump the gun, give the trail an opportunity to try to blow the whistle and call it 10 seconds. But if you see that they have A1, B1 in it, or A1, B1, B2, trapping A1, so the trail may be busy, dealing with that situation where they can't look at the shot clock. That's when the center of the lead need to come in and help out with that. Say, oh, beep, 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 10-second violation, whatever the case may be, and then, keep things going.
I see Jeff, you got to play screen? Up
Jeff,
can you guys see my screen?
Jeff. Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay, because this kind of leads into that. This is why we got to have great clock awareness. This is exactly why. Because watch this play.
I don't mean to cut you off, but when you say clock awareness, you mean as a crew, correct?
As a crew, yes. It's not, and really individually, you need to have clock awareness, but our crew needs to be a part of your clock awareness. You cannot assume that the other officials know what the clock is. You need to take responsibility personally for any clock situation. And with the shot clock, it really makes us where we got to be put into place. So this is why I want to show this video. This is one of the videos. This happened this past week. This past weekend, I'm sorry. Okay, does anybody see a problem?
It got
Yes.
reset to 35. It didn't hit the rim. So it
Okay,
should stay at 14.
So look what happens.
Good Lord.
That's a whole
Okay.
lot happening in this play.
Ooh, and the coach hot.
Mhm.
He hot.
So, and they call a timeout. So what now? I want to break this down because I think we need to talk about this from a standpoint of what we normally do.
Jeff, before you do that, I'm sorry, before you do that, how much time was on the shot clock when they inbounded the ball?
23 seconds.
Okay.
When they had it.
Okay.
Went in, I believe.
Gotcha.
So
Be
this
there
is
at
what,
22.
and this is what I talk about when you get your number. So what's the time on the clock that when we have 23?
2:34.
Okay, so let's just talk about a couple things. They throw this in the backcourt. Where's our 10-second violation?
2:24 on the clock and 13 on the
Okay.
shot.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's obviously in the front court, so
Yeah.
that may not happen. But that's I want you to start thinking about that.
Okay, I
Because
got you.
they throw it in the backcourt.
I hope y'all taking notes.
Right. We better, because this could be also on the sideline, and they throw it in the backcourt. We have a new 10-second count. So the new 10-second count violation should happen on the game clock at 13 on the shot clock or 2:24 on the game clock. So those are things that you want to be thinking about so you can do the math. Now, is anybody good enough to do the math right now?
Can you say that part again? Explain that again so people can understand what you really mean.
Okay. If we have 23 seconds on the shot clock, then let's just say it's probably an out of bounds violation that caused this, or it could be a foul because our rule is if it's above 20 and there's a foul or violation by the defense, it could stay at 23. So if we have the ball thrown into the backcourt, we have a new 10-second count, correct?
Correct.
So we got to know that 13 on the shot clock would be the shot clock thing, and I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to call a violation based on my signal, and also 2:24 is on the clock, on the game clock. So that's another marker where we can figure out where our clock is, and also if we're paying attention to that, we also know if the clock started properly, probably. Or we have some idea that the clock started properly. So that's the first things that we need to think about. So we need to make sure we're getting that start. So once this starts, this is a pretty big situation. This fourth quarter. And so the shot goes up, it misses the rim. Now, let me ask this question. Who's supposed to see that the shot hits the rim?
Well, I mean, the C or the
put on your thinking cap.
The center or the trail.
Okay, so based on where the shot came from, where did the shot happen? On the center side, trail side, or lead side? Where did the jump shot come from? See, this is why this is important to know.
Center side.
Came from the center side.
Lee side.
So based on where the shot came from, who should have realized that the shot clock didn't get reset? I mean, that got reset improperly.
The C.
The trail, because the center's watching the defense come down to make sure that he doesn't hit the offensive player.
Okay. So what
He's
you're saying is
watching for him to land.
the
Yes.
center
So I
the
think
center
it's
has
fair.
responsibility of the shooter landing safely, correct?
Correct.
All right. So who can potentially call and say, hey, that clock shot shouldn't reset. It should be at 14 or what 13 or whatever time it should
The
have been at.
trail.
The trail. So this is why it's important to know how to help your partners in situations like this, because again, this time next year, stuff like this is going to be almost a common practice that we're going to see on a
So,
consistent basis.
okay, excuse me. So when it got reset to 35, we should have had a quick whistle and said it's at 14 or 13. When, you
Right.
know,
Well, why a quick whistle?
well, they said it. I mean, it's at 35. Well, maybe not a whistle at some point. You don't want to give them another 35 seconds, correct?
Right. Oh, absolutely. I'm just asking because I want us to start thinking about this.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
this
No,
is
I'm just thinking the quicker you see it, you should blow your whistle and say reset it at 14 or which was
okay.
where he caught it. Yeah.
So let me ask this. They set it to 35. Where was it at again?
14 when he caught it. Then
Okay.
after it didn't hit the rim.
So now we have 22:22 on the clock when obviously the rebound, and we can maybe give or take in a second. So if we have 14, where would our violation point be if we reset it to 14?
It was 234.
Got to put the thinking caps on.
Back to 234 at 14.
35. That's 21 seconds from 234. So 201,
Like 158, maybe? I'm sorry. No, I said 14 seconds. And then that's why we're doing this.
234 less
So
20.
take 12 off of, so take 14 off of 22.
213 it should have been.
213. So my point is that so let's just say we don't immediately get this. And then we maybe 5 seconds later, are we still going to be able to correct this because of where we know where the violation point was?
I
We
believe
should. Like if you do the work before the ball's put in play, you know where that started by the time, and you should be able to kind of do the math and figure out where we put the time. So if it just happens to be doing this, and it could be, I'm going to say this, guys, you could maybe not notice that he reset it to 35 immediately. You might notice he reset it at 31. Like it's 31 on the clock. Why is there 31 on the clock? Like
okay.
31 didn't hit the rim. It was at 23 when it started. So why is 31 on the clock? Because here's another little thing you need to think about. There is never a point it is going to be reset to 35 in the front court on a shot.
Correct.
Never.
Absolutely never.
Never. There's not a situation. I can't think of one. Now, I want it before somebody tries to trip me up. Yes, you could have a live ball steal that goes to 35, but that's not what happened here. This was a shot that is a rebound, and it was reset to 35 immediately. Okay. Now, I'm gonna just show again what ended up happening. Because if it was 14 is on the clock, how much time comes off the clock before a shot or basket is made?
21 seconds.
So it looked like 16 when it went in the basket.
Almost
so that's
20, almost 20 seconds.
Right. So if we don't catch this immediately, and that's why I want us to think about this, could we have a violation, guys? Possibly, potentially.
Yep.
Yes.
Retrospectively, let's say we noticed this at 16 and we just happen to notice it after the shot or when the shot clock. Could we have a violation?
We did, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's why I'm saying it. I just want us to think about how we could correct this. Now, let me also say this to help everybody out. this is not just the trail's responsibility. This is the center's responsibility.
And the lead.
And I would even say it's the lead's responsibility.
Because the lead looked at it was a no basket. It was an attempt, didn't hit the basket. I don't think Lee didn't really have nothing in front of him. He could have looked up there and said,
right,
hey, let's fix this.
And the reason what we're saying this is because I don't want you to get into this thought process that, oh, well, wait a minute, it's only the outside official.
Right.
Or it's only the center because the center can't do it because he's got to go look at the play. Now, the center probably is the last one on this one that can know for sure. I'm going to be honest, because you see it goes over the rim. So it's very possible he doesn't have an angle on whether it actually touched the rim. He might be guessing. So but he might have knowledge that if it did hit the rim, it ain't at 35. Like, that's how he can save the crew. Like, he may not know the initial rim hit, but he may know, wait a minute, 35 ain't right. Because that was the team that's on offense, so that's wrong. So I got to correct that. So there's angles to this we could have corrected. And the lead, as I said, could have easily corrected it because now he can look and see, wait a minute, he can look across and see the 35 on the other end. And know that 35 is set to the clock. So he could say, wait a minute, that's not right. That's an offensive rebound. It shouldn't be a 35. Like we gotta start thinking that this is a crew responsibility, not just the responsibility of one individual. Now, the coach is hot.
On fire.
Absolutely hot. He had been, and I'll even give it even a little more background. I talked to 2 officials on this crew. He was teed up earlier in the game. So he's ballistic. And matter of fact, if I would have shown you more, look where he is. He's on the court in front of the official on the court. They technically have not given a timeout. He's livid with a technical foul. So I want you to also think about how that looks too now. So what if we tee him up now? We've caused a whole lot of problems, and his whole thing is that did not hit the rim. How did you guys miss that, basically? Now, I'm not saying you give him a technical foul. I'm just saying know what situation you're in. Like, does he have a beef? And if I would have shown this, you would have saw the timeout. He's interacting with the officials. He's upset and this, that, the other. Now, this is not something, guys, that I say this to people because I've had people, I posted this on my page, and I have people try to say, well, you know, this is unacceptable and this, that, the other. Guys, these things happen. This is just a hard play.
And here's the thing. This will happen.
It absolutely will happen. As a matter of fact, it's happened to me where I was the lead or something, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that hit the rim, or I thought it didn't hit the rim. Why is it? Wait a minute, your mind is thinking 50 things in a couple seconds.
Jeff, do me a favor. Can you go back for a second though? I really want to kind of talk about the positioning of the officials because I think that has a lot to do with them missing this call. From the jump shot shooter, from there.
Go back to the. Hold on.
Well, yeah. Go back to the beginning, towards the beginning, because let's look at the positioning of officials. Okay, so this is the first jump shot. Is that a good position for the center official? Anybody?
No, because he's straight line.
Straight line. Okay.
And he took himself into a stacked position.
Right.
He was, his better positioning would have been to come from here to there.
Correct.
Or if he really had to, he needs to maybe take a step down, even though that's not the preferable one. But the point is, what he needs to see is the point of contact with this shooter.
Right. And that's important.
Because what if he contacts his right arm? Most shooters are right-handed, not always, but what if he contacts his right arm? Is he in a good defendable position to call that foul?
No, he's not. Now, and the reason why I asked that is because Had he been on the left side of the shooter, um, he might have been able to see that the ball didn't hit the rim. But
That's a good
because he was
point.
on the right side, he clearly couldn't see that the ball hit the rim. But I also know that his priority was to make sure that the shooter, landed safely as well. Now, let's go back again to the shot and let's look at the trail position. And this is why we always talk about positioning. You don't just get to the 28-foot line or the free throw line extended at the C or 3-foot poster mark as the lead. You have to keep working to get angles. And if you don't keep working to get angles, these types of things will happen. So right now, let's go. I'm sorry, one more time. Go back to the trail. Go back to for the air ball. Now look at the trail. Let's see how often he moved to get a better angle. Pause it right there. Pause it right there. Now look at the trail. Look like he's ready to get down court, right? He's ready to run down court. Well, why are you worried about down court when all of the action is happening right here at this basket? So he didn't even close down on the shot, meaning take a step or two into, towards the basket when the shot goes to the rim. He's stepping away from the basket.
Just so we're clear, the 28-foot mark is right here.
Right.
This is a 28-foot mark. So he's already like about 6 feet above the 28-foot mark.
Right, because he's worried about getting down court now. So basically, we said the C was out of position because he was straight line. Again, his priority was the shooter, making sure the shooter landed safely. So he's out the picture. The trail is stepping away from the basket. He's out the picture. So that leaves nobody but the lead, which we know the lead is typically not going to call a violation on a play like that because he's under the basket. Okay, so this is why it's important to make sure that we are getting in the right positions to see plays. So as the ball's moving around the perimeter, we should see the trail moving to get angles, taking a step or two this way or a step or two that way. Same thing with the C. Well, we saw the C made adjustments, which is great. He did make an adjustment. I personally would have went left instead of right because, again, it's a right-handed shooter. But again, it's just a matter of your preference. Okay, but the lead is basically the only person that could potentially save the crew at this point because he's the only one that could have probably maybe saw because he was wide enough where he could have maybe saw the ball miss the rim, but we just don't naturally expect the lead to make that call. That call should come from the trail or the C. And with the C dealing with the jump shot shooter, the trail has to know automatically, I have to make sure that ball hits the rim. That's the trail's responsibility in that particular play. Does everybody get that?
Yeah, Jeff, go back to the second three-point attempt from the corner. All right, here again, we got the C. The shot's going to be coming to his corner, and he's standing on the sideline. He should step forward and turn in between those guys so he can see any contact as the kid's flying by.
And watch this. Anytime we see defenders jump in the air towards a jump shot shooter, what should we be anticipating?
Contact.
Okay, that's not a good closeout.
And okay. I would take it a step further. I know we say referee the defense. This is the time you watch the offensive player.
And explain why.
When you know that the defender is flying at the shooter, find the shooter. Because that's where because he's already illegal. So you don't need to know what he did per se or where he jumped from. He's clearly jumping at the shooter. You can see that out your periphery. Once you notice he's jumping at the shooter, go to the shooter. Go look at the shooter. Because then I'm looking at point of contact. And a high-level official who's worked the Final Four championship a couple years ago, said that point of contact is not just their arm, it's their whole body. Because what if I leg kick? Mm-hmm. Like if you're watching the arm and you miss my leg sticking out, you don't know whether I might make contact with that leg. So you look at the whole body and then let watch the shooter and let the shooter bring you to the defender. Because if you do that, you'll be able to know what they did to either cause the contact. Did they stick their leg out? Were they normal motion? Were they leaning back? Did they get him on the elbow? Did they get him on the wrist? Did they get the ball first? Did they get torso contact? That's how you determine that.
And this particular play that Jeff is showing has a lot of things happening in its beginning to end sequence that we really have to process, and we have to be really good at processing these types of plays, because not only is the ball moving on the perimeter, not only do we have jump shot shooters, we got to worry about rebounders, we got to worry about hook and holds. I mean, there's a lot of things happening that we have to pay attention to. The air ball, did the ball hit the rim, shot clock, game clock? I mean, it's just a lot. So this is just an example of what you can anticipate when the shot clock does come into play. So that's why it's important that you really have to know, or as we say, you have to have really good really good clock management, meaning that you have to know how to know when that clock started. Did it start on time? How much time was it on the game clock when we started, taking the ball out of bounds? Was the shot clock properly reset, or was it at the correct number when we started the out of bounds play? Like, all of these things are important factors that the crew, and it goes back to what Jeff said earlier, this is a crew responsibility. This is not just an individual responsibility. This is a crew responsibility.
Now I want to show another play because it's the same game. Later on in the game, probably about 30, 40 seconds later. Well, no, it was like 2-something on the clock when this started. Now we're under a minute. Same play. Let's watch this play and talk about the situation. Okay, what do we see? Anybody comment? Anybody there?
They look like really similar plays.
Do they look similar, or are they similar? There's a difference.
Okay.
I see a foul on both ends of the court.
Okay, let me ask you this. Tell me why. Let's talk about the first play. Why is there a foul on the first play?
Is there any way you can slow it down there as he's going airborne on the first shot? So let's talk about the defender. Was the defender in legal guarding position first and foremost? Yes or no? The player that's on the side of A1 shooting the ball.
No.
Okay. So
let me ask this question. Are all plays related to fouls legal guarding position plays?
No.
No.
That is correct.
That's why they call it athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All fouls are not based on legal guarding position. Okay.
But so we do start with that just as a starting point.
Right. It's a starting point, but I want to emphasize this because people will default to, well, they're not in legal guarding position.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't matter if there's not illegal contact with me guarding you.
Mm-hmm.
But
correct.
If I'm jumping or I am vertical, now verticality involves being from a legal position, not necessarily legal guarding position, meaning I've earned my spot on the floor and then I am jumping to another spot or jumping in the same spot. Theoretically, that is what verticality is about.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any contact? Please, somebody tell me who said it was a foul. Tell me why this is a foul. And there's no right or wrong. I want you just to tell me what you see.
It looked as if he grabbed him around the wrist and pulled him down.
Okay, let me ask you this. you see right here. Is there any wrist contact at this moment?
No.
Okay. Does it look like he gets most of the ball?
Yes.
But it's kind of hard to see.
Okay, but let's just say he gets the ball first. Let's just say, for argument's sake, he gets the ball. Is there going to be some wrist contact potentially?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, if I get the ball first, would wrist contact constitute a foul?
No.
Why? And give me a rule book answer. Don't give me what you think.
I don't.
Does anybody else know, or do they think they know?
Then that could have been a hell ball.
There's that.
Why do you say that as a possibility?
Because he grabbed the ball first, and he
Excel. Oh. Excel. Oh.
What?
You done went from
what,
you done went from foul to not a good view to possibly he hit him on the wrist, and now you go to it possibly could have been a hell ball.
Yeah, that's why we on here. That's why I'm learning.
Jeff, keep it right here on this frame right here. Let me just share
because it is hard to see, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
from the fast, from when you see it in real motion, it does look like he grabbed him and like pulled his hand back, his wrist back.
So let me give you a tip. If you watch the offensive players' hands or their arms with the ball, the whole entire play, you'll see that the defense, right here at this frame, you can see that the defense clearly gets the ball. Clearly gets the ball. Now, the motion or the angle of the offensive player's body looks like he got fouled, but it's because the defensive player had his hand on the ball as the offensive player was coming towards the basket. So you got to think about science. If you run at me full speed and I get to an angle where I can, in this case, get to the ball and not your body's going to look like it's going to be in this position in the air.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, had he gotten fouled on his arms, 9 times out of 10, the ball would have went up. Okay. Just a little trick you can use. Or if he comes down and foul him, the ball would have went down. Okay.
And let me say this too. This is the stance of Gary Gutson. This is the stance of the state. We're going to assume that they're going to block a shot until they prove us otherwise. Guys, we're not going to be so great that we are going to know for 110% sure there's no wrist contact, no arm contact, no whatever. But if it looks like he blocked it, he blocked it. Okay? And I'm gonna say this, and I know some people may think it's controversial. This is a very typical play in boys basketball because boys can jump a little higher, and a lot of times they are bigger in size. So even on a boys game, this is not something that is unusual to happen on a block shot. He got it ripped out his hand, basically. Now, could you give it a hell ball? I think there's a case. Do I think that's what you should call on this play? I don't know. I don't think so. Because I think it all happened in kind of a swift motion. If he comes kind of coming back down to the floor and he still has the ball pinned somewhat, okay, I could go along with that. But I think this is a good block play. But again, not an easy play. And maybe even in a situation where we could have a little different positioning.
No, but I was about to say break down the position real quick.
I'm gonna talk about the lead. I would have liked the lead to be maybe outside of the A or maybe at the S or a little outside the S. Because then there's a potential he could be stacked on this play. That he doesn't get a good look because of the angle and where the player came from. Now, not saying it's a horrible position. It just, if he's a little wider, he probably gets a better angle on this and can definitively know that this is a foul or not a foul. Okay? The lead or the center could be a little further down. And because, again, he's another line of defense, because if this shows up, now it looks like most of the contact is happening away from him, so he doesn't really have an open look. He's probably looking at a stack look or looking through bodies to get this particular play. Okay? So he may can help, but not tremendously. On this play. It might be a really, really hard sell if he does it. But if he's maybe a step down where he's more free throw line extended, and he's not, and this player doesn't come in front of him, he might have a good angle at this too, or a better angle. I'll say it that way. I think he has a decent angle, but maybe not the best.
He could take a couple steps forward onto the court.
Maybe it just depends on the type of play, because also sometimes if he comes out on the court and they throw to this player, he may not be in a good spot. So
correct, he does have to watch out for him.
That is a good point, though. It could maybe help him, but he doesn't. But now, where does the ball come from? Okay, it kind of comes from the C side. So he could maybe step out too a little bit, because that's kind of going away, so he could change his angle, maybe to come out to get maybe a better look, especially at this defender that comes over. The trail is not helping himself. He's kind of going away from the play, where maybe he could step down or maybe even out a little bit to maybe get a little bit of an angle. But again, that movement's difficult based off of what other players, because once these players are going the other end, he's got to get out of their way.
And Jeff, before you continue, I think this is a great play where since you broke down each position, when those dribble drives go to the basket, can you explain what the trail and the center should do, which direction they should go to get the best angle on those plays going down the middle of the lane?
Well, you kind of want to go the opposite direction of which they're going, theoretically, because once the balls go, you don't want to go with them. You kind of want to step away or out so that you can now get the angle, because the trail should have part of this play to the basket. He should know what happens to this player. So once this play goes, if maybe he does step out a little bit, I mean, I don't know that he has a lot of room to step down, but if he probably was at the 28-foot mark, maybe that movement, he's kind of maybe not in the best position, but he has to have an opinion on this play. And the reason I'm saying have an opinion, because he can't just say, well, let's go into the lead. The lead has the play. He can't do that, because this play on this side, he could have an open look at this. He may have had an open look on this. So I'm not saying he's in the best position, but he's also not in the worst position. He needs to follow this play to the basket. The center needs to kind of follow this too, because it's going to the basket, and he might need to look for other players that are coming in front. But again, the way the play developed, he really is not the best help on this play, because it's on the other side of the lane in front of the lead. Now, the lead when this ball was going to the basket should have probably been a little, maybe that's fine that he's here because the ball's on the other side. So yeah, the ball's on the other side, so he can kind of be in a closed down position. Once this ball starts to go hard to the basket, he needs to start backing out. Because if he starts to back out, now he get what we call a more panoramic view of the play instead of a smaller view. I mean, look, I don't care what room you're in, whatever room you're in, and right now, or you just do this, if you're standing in a spot and you start backing up, you can see more of the room. So the lead has to have a more panoramic view when these plays are coming to the basket, because these secondary defenders are his by primary. So he's supposed to be looking at this. So if he comes up there and it steps out, maybe he gets a better angle at this. Now, I don't think this is a foul. So I'm just breaking this down to kind of say there's a possibility that there's any debate about it, we could be in more defendable positions or dependable positions on this particular play. So let's go to this, because this is really the point that I want to make with this video. So we clearly don't have a foul. We got a body here on the floor, and now we're rushing up to the other end to get this play. So let's stop it here. The lead is not in the best of positions because he's kind of, again, we're going to get beat. So he's not in the best of positions maybe for this player anyway. He's trying to rush, and then his eyes are moving to even get to this play. So it appears that the shooter either contorts himself or maybe causes a little bit of contact in order to maybe get a better angle at this shot. But if we look at this play again, it looks like, and I can go to this other play, it looks pretty much like he gets ball. And it's a bigger player. So we have a taller player who was defending a smaller guard, and it looks like he gets, if anything, mostly ball. Now, maybe he has a decent angle to kind of see that. But my point is, we just called a big contact, or didn't call a big contact down here. So the very next play, it better be obvious. It can't be marginal. It's got to be obvious. If we didn't call this a foul, then we got to know the very next possession, this has to be better. And it looks like he gets the ball. Now, let me say this.
Jeff, does he get more body on that one, on the second one?
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't care he got body. Why do I care he got body? He's a bigger player. Of course he's going to get body. When you block a shot, there's going to be some body contact. That's just my opinion. Somebody can tell me I'm wrong, and you can say adamantly I'm wrong. Okay, that's fine. But we got a bigger player on a smaller player defending the play. It looks like he jumps away from him to some extent to try to get an angle because he realizes, oh, crap, this player is going to block my shot. And we call this a foul.
Hey, Jeff, let me say something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody that's on here, here's a play I want you to understand about that play. If you got ball before body, there's nothing. If you have body before ball, then you have to look at height and weight and advantage in a player. Because big fella is way taller than the guard, so he has to do less strenuous things to block the shot. He has to do less. He's doing a whole lot less things to block that shot. He did nothing but put his hand up and then put his hand down on the ball. That's all he did. Put his hand up and then put his hand down on the ball.
And let me add one more thing. Who do you think won this game, y'all? Team in white is leading by 2 at this point. The game ended up being, I believe, 67-63. I mean, 67-65. So I also want to emphasize this. We can't make mistakes in calls at this point of the game.
Absolutely.
Our mantra, especially at the higher level, we talk about, now at the higher level, we got media timeout. So they say at 4-minute mark, we got to be perfect.
Last 4 minutes.
Like we could mess up a couple things in the first, 16, whatever, 30 something minutes, 28 minutes. But them last 4 minutes, we got to be perfect, because any mistake that we call, bad call, bad violation, anything that's not, or we miss a violation or something that is obvious, it's hard for that team to recover. Like basically we're screwing them twice in a sense, not just miss the play. We can miss a block charge in the first play. If we would have called one of these a foul in the first 2 minutes of the game, that's not going to be a big deal unless we were inconsistent all night.
And just a little tip I'm gonna throw in real quick. Most coaches that review film, they start with the last 4 minutes of the game, from the last media timeout to the end. That's typically when they go back and review the film. That's what they review first, is the last 4 minutes.
And so this is and for those that want to do the higher level game, the reason I also mention this is because now this is what can get you in trouble, because they're going to go back.
Oh, you froze, Jeff. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Bad teams. They did 1 year have a real good team. I had this game actually, and the team in white beat them, but that was some years ago. They haven't had very many of these type of plays or very many of these type of games. And so this is a big moment for this team, and you can't just take it in a bubble and say, well, it doesn't really matter. This is one game. This is one call. This is probably one of the biggest calls of the game. And again, I'm not here to rip officials, because I had a conversation with 2 of the officials of the game, and I asked them their opinion about this play. I'm not going to tell you what I thought their opinion was about this play. I'm just telling you that it was discussed. And it became a bone of contention about how it was handled. But I'm not going to tell you what they said. So my point is that we got to be aware, if we've called nothing on this play, the very next play, we got to be good. We got to be great. Because if you don't call a foul on this next play, you think anybody says anything?
Okay, Jeff, stop right there.
Okay.
When your partner has a foul, you need to stop and stand still and watch players. You don't need to be moving around.
And why is that?
You don't need to be moving around.
Why is that important, Tracy?
Because you need to be watching players. You people watchers. So when the league called a foul, you don't need to be walking nowhere. You need to stop. Don't be walking nowhere. Look what he's doing. Look. He's looking over at the benches. Okay, keep going. Looking at the benches. Now, look at him walking around. Where you going? Just stop. Look, just stop. Stop. Because you don't have anything.
So now
you don't have anything. Just stop.
So now instead of having 4 eyes on the players, we only got 2
you only
eyes.
got the lead watching the ball, watching players. Now you stop. Where are you going? Where are you going?
And the other thing is look at his body language. So even if he doesn't, let's say he agrees with the call, does his body language show confidence in the call?
Absolutely not.
Just stop. Just stop. Look at you. What are you doing? Just stop. What are you doing?
And then ask yourself this: where do you go after he reports anyway? He becomes a C anyway. So the trail becomes a C anyway. So why are you even walking to the center of the court? He should be walking to free throw line extended and watching the players as he's going down to free throw line extended.
Now, to be fair to him, he might be looking back at this other player, but he doesn't need to walk to that player. He can stay there and look at him. and see if he's able to go. Because it looked like he may be hurt a little bit because, he did fall pretty hard, whether we like it or not. He might be hurt. He doesn't need to go to him. Just wait. Because nothing's going to happen until we're ready to put the ball in play anyway. So if he's hurt now, he's going to be hurt 2 minutes later. So wait until the players separate. Again, this is an emotional game. What if we have one official watching all these players and he's about to go report with them? He doesn't need to follow him.
Right.
No
what
reason,
are you doing?
No reason to do that. Just stay where you are.
If he hurt, he hurt.
Matter of fact, after this call, I'm probably here.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of running up and I'm looking. And then if I have to look back at the player, I might turn my head to look back at the player briefly to make sure he's okay. Because if he's not going to play, it could take a minute or so for us to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to power through it, so which kids do. So I'm not even saying it's necessarily a bad thing. But he doesn't need to be walking around. He's not helping display confidence in the call.
And he's not helping.
And right or wrong, and trust me, guys, we've all been there. I have totally messed up plays. Or I've been on games where I thought my partner messed up play. Now, I say I thought because I've looked at film and thought they messed it up, and then I found out, wait a minute, they got it right.
Mm-hmm.
So my body language, I want to give strength to the crew to be like, we on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we may get in the locker room and say, Tracy, what were you doing? Or Clarence come to me and say, Jeff, what? And we just had this play down here. How do you call that down here?
Mm-hmm.
That's a different conversation. And depending on how well you know your partners and the kind of rapport you have, you can have that conversation. But on the floor, you need to show strength. He does not need to follow this one player. He's one player. If he's hurt that bad, the team's going to go out there and get him anyway. And if he's hurt that bad, we can take a little bit. Okay, coach, I need you to get someone to help him. But we don't need to walk to the middle of the court, across the court, follow the kid. Like, I can follow him right here. I can just be watching him, and I go up to him and say, hey, are you okay?
Absolutely.
You can continue. This is a difficult play, guys. I just showed this because I stumbled on this play. I stumbled on this play, recognized one of the officials, called one of the officials, and this was the play I saw. He asked me about, hey, did you see the shot clock play? I'm like, what happened on the shot clock play?
Hey, Jeff, I want to show the open close looks video real quick.
Okay.
Because I think this will help people to really understand why positioning is so important in what we do. Because this is what will allow us to see the plays the proper way, or to be in a proper position to see the plays in the proper way. Hold on, give me 1 second here. So I'm going to play this video, and you guys, we'll talk about it real quick at the end before we get out of here.
Anytime you have a closed look, you have two options. Make a position adjustment to get an open look, or do not blow your whistle. As number 4 white drives into the lane, notice how this play opens up for the center official, who correctly calls a foul. The trail official has a closed look and should not have blown his whistle. Number 13 Gray's shot attempt opens up for the center official, who position adjusts down and correctly calls a foul on number 2 Black. Remember, on drives from lead side, we must anticipate potential curl plays at the center position. As number 0 White spins toward the center official, he has an open look, stays engaged, and correctly no calls this play, as number 24 black got all ball. Good pickup by the trail official on this play. With the shot clock winding down, number 7 black curls back toward the basket, which gives the trail an open look to see this foul on number 1 white. This reach-in by number 5 blue opens up for the trail official, who sees the contact and correctly calls a foul. Once again, anticipating a potential curl play, the center official on this shot attempt stays engaged and correctly calls a foul. Good job by the lead official on this play. He has a closed look and does not blow his whistle. Notice the open look for the trail official on this play to see the illegal contact by number 13 white. However, because the contact happens from the inside, the center official has a closed look, is guessing, and should not have blown his whistle.
And guys, these are some of the best officials in the country. And this is plays that they are not getting right or not calling properly. So if these are the best officials in the country, what do you think you are when you are in these situations? I want to emphasize this. These is never, ever, ever, when we show these plays, this is never about the person. Never. That's why I show so many of my plays. I show a lot of my plays because I make mistakes every single game. And I see something that I need to get better on. Or could I have handled a situation better? I mean, I had a game this past weekend. I could show the plays. I don't know if we'll have time, but I had 2 flagrants in a college game, 1 flagrant 1, flagrant 2, and a coach ejection. I'm in the middle of all of it, by the way. And all I did today was talk about that play. I've talked about that all weekend because I had to talk to my supervisor. I had to file a report, which is another issue. So if this can happen to anyone, this is one play out that game. I did not watch the entire game, the high school game that we saw. I did not. I saw 2, 3 plays. So it doesn't make what happens about you. It makes it about we all can learn from those situations. Because I'm telling you, that shot clock play that happened in that game, I've had that happen to me this year.
And it probably happened to most of us.
Right. And because I wasn't as comfortable with the situation, I didn't correct it how we were supposed to. And unfortunately, it didn't go to the lengths it did in that play where it went 14 more seconds. It was pretty quick, but still should have corrected it. And so now that watching that play has made me better. Because now I know, okay, I got to know from my position. So I want to always emphasize this, guys. This is never personal about you. So about whoever is, if we show a play and you're on the play, it's never about play. That's why I show so many of my own plays. So many. You just watch the internet with a bunch of my plays.
And I think one of the things I think we as officials have to understand, especially at the higher levels, this is why they try to stay. They don't want to see a lot of double whistles. They want the video I just showed about open closed looks. This is why you'll see at the NBA, WNBA level, college level, rarely do you see double whistles because they actually frown upon a lot of double whistles because that means you're not officiating in your primary. So you saw the various plays on there where plays opened up to one position, trail center or lead, but it closed to the other trail center or lead, depending on the play. That's important because that's how you know if you're staying locked into your primary, if you have whistle discipline, if you're being patient, doing all of the things that they want you to do so that you can get the plays right. Even if you do have a double whistle, you have to know who should get the call. You know, was it the secondary defender or was it the primary defender that created the foul? Whoever had the primary defender, that's who takes the call. Whoever had the secondary defender, that's who takes that call. So these are little things that you know that you can always work on every single game, perfect these various tips and tricks and things, the positioning and whistle discipline, being patient, all of those types of things. If you work on those things, then you can get to the point where you can work with anybody, literally. I know I can work with anybody in the country because I know I'm good in my primary. I'm not worried about calling outside of my primary. I'm not ball watching, just looking all over the court and just calling, I'm not calling across the lane, across the paint at the lead. There's another video about that. I'm not going to show it tonight because we're getting ready to wrap up in a minute. But there's another video we'll try to show maybe next week talking about the lead calling across the lane, when you should and when you shouldn't do that. So those are little things that, again, if you're trying to get better at this, these are things you have to work on. And I mean, every time you're on the court, work on it. Be very intentional about, hey, I'm working on, staying in my primary. I'm working on trying not to have double whistles. Yes, they may happen. You may have situations where it may happen for a double whistle. But even if it happens, should you take the call or should your partner take the call? Depending on who the foul is on. Primary defender, secondary defender. Did you have a primary defender? Did you have a secondary defender? Those are things you have to ask yourself in real time. Okay, so these are just little tips and tricks that we're sharing with you. Hopefully you can add this to your toolkit. So again, you'll have a variety of tools to pull from in various situations. Go ahead, Jeff. I see you got a video up. Jeff, you want to explain the video before we get out of here? You're muted, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I just want to show this play and kind of illustrate what we were talking about, coverage area. So the trail calls this play. It's a play on the low block, but look at why he's calling it. Okay, look where the body contact took place. The body contact opened up to him. The lead is out here. Probably it leaves outside the S. He's probably too far, honestly. But he's in a spot where he probably cannot see this defender come in, clip this shooter. The only issue that I would have here is, does he have a cadence? Does he give the lead a chance? And I would say probably his whistled a little quick. Because once that shot is missed, and it's clearly your partner doesn't get it. Now, can we tell that the lead calls it? I'm not 100% sure because the lead is so far out. The lead actually should probably be somewhere between the E to R or the R and the S on this particular situation. But he can't tell that the contact, and you even see the coach react like, that's a foul. So the coach even sees it. Like at least the assistant coach. So, and this is just to start the game. So this is what we're talking about. This is a good call from the trail. Only thing I would want maybe is a little more patience on that whistle. Probably even if that ball goes off the rim on the other side, it's not blown by the lead, then he takes it. But if the lead has it, then that's the lead's call. Okay? Anybody have any questions? And my internet has been goofy all night, so I don't know. I see some frozen people.
Yeah, mine's been going in and out too.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's on Clarence's end or my end or whatever, but it's been goofy all night for me. So.
Hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay.
You were frozen for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Mine seemed to be acting a little weird, but yeah, that was some great information. Hopefully, you guys got a lot out of tonight's training. Some good nuggets you can add to your toolkit. Again, this is why we're here, to help everybody get better. Did anybody have any questions about the open closed look or the plays that we talked about before we leave? If so, feel free to ask your question. Don't want to dismiss the call without at least getting your questions answered. Is there somebody that doesn't understand the open versus closed look or being stacked? Okay, that means everybody on here is ready to work the NBA, WNBA finals then, huh?
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I need to get in better shape. I'm not.
But yeah, so with that being said, we're not going to keep you guys. Thank you for being on the call tonight. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here.
Well, wait. Let's talk about this. We might be back on Sunday.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be back, if we're gonna do it, if everybody can attend, we're gonna change.
So
next
real
week.
quick, let's just do a quick poll in the chat for those that are still on the call. If you rather meet on Sunday, type Sunday in the chat. If Monday works better for you, then put Monday in the chat real quick for us. That way we can kind of gauge what the audience would prefer to do for next week. We got a Sunday in the chat. Got a Monday, Sunday, Monday, Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Sunday.
Well, I do know most schools are not playing, or most tournaments are not playing on Sunday.
Right. So I see.
But what time on Sunday? The Bears play that night.
Well, I don't care about the Bears, man.
Yeah.
This is
I mean,
training.
don't get me wrong now. I love the Bears. I'm a diehard Bears fan.
That's an inside joke, by the way.
Right. That's an inside joke. For Jeff, that's an inside joke.
That's an inside joke.
So.
But they play Sunday night, 7:20.
Don't get hurt, Jeff.
Yeah, he know there's some Bears fans on here that's gonna jump.
I know there's some Bears fans.
Bear
Forget
down,
all
baby.
y'all. That's okay. No.
So, hey, we doing really good. Don't mess up our mojo now.
Well, wait a minute. I hope y'all make the playoffs. I hope y'all do well in the playoffs. I'm just messing with y'all because I'm not from Chicago.
Y'all.
Say y'all because I'm not from Chicago. So I didn't grow up a Bears fan. I hated the Bears when I was a kid.
All right, so far I see 7 Sundays and 2 Mondays, unless I'm missing 3 Mondays in the chat.
But that is true. Sunday they are most tournaments are off. Yeah. Monday they start back up. So I get it if Monday is a problem.
It looks like Sunday is the majority winner though, based on the chat. I don't know. Maybe
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. This has been a discussion.
We'll
just so
send
you
an
know,
email out and let everybody know what we'll decide to do. But it looks like Sundays based on the chat.
This has been a discussion with people who emailed us about Sundays and think Sunday's a better day, and we may choose a couple Sundays depending on the situation. But we'll just put that full disclosure. But Monday is the best day for me personally. I think it's the best day for Clarence. But we'll consider something, maybe some off other times. So because the Bears ain't gonna be in it the whole time.
It's Sunday for this particular chat.
Jeff just got a hangover from the Bears winning. So that's what that is. I can see it on his face.
Yeah, he just can't let it go.
Well,
okay.
I'm not a Packers fan. They can guarantee you that one.
Well, that's great right there.
Kirk, you have your hand
not
raised?
A Packers fan, so forget that.
Kirk, you want to unmute? You had your hand raised for a second? Kirk Winkler?
Kirk, you're on mute.
You muted, yeah.
You can get off of mute. We can answer your question.
All right. Well, if not, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording. But again, thank you guys for being on the call. We'll stick around and have a little after party for those who want to stick and stay for a little bit. And we'll see you guys next week.